So this morning, the village in Howard is happy to introduce to you Rachel Jenkins of Photo Archivers. Rachel will describe and explain the 8 C's, capital C, of organizing your photos. Rachel's company, Photo Archivers, provides wonderful services, including photo organization, digitizing, creating custom books, and video conversions. A statement on the website says it all. Everyone has a story, a legacy, that deserves to be preserved and shared, and that is so true. Rachel and her team have assisted clients since 2010, and they are in Columbia off of Red Ranch Road, which is just off of Route 108. So please welcome Rachel Jenkins.
Thanks so much. Thank you for coming out today. I appreciate you taking some time and carving out time to hear what a little bit more about how you can organize your own legacy.
No, I heard it all.
Sorry. Let me ask a question. I like to start kind of with a question because it sometimes will help guide me in the entire presentation, but how many of you have started this process? How many of you have gotten stuck? How many of you have finished? No hands up on that one. How many of you think that nobody's going to care? It's something we hear a lot, that my kids don't care, my kids aren't going to want all these photos. And what I'm here to tell you is that they might not care right now, or you might not think that they do, but they will eventually. There's going to come a time where they do care, and they're going to want to know the who's, the whens, the what was happening in this picture. They're going to want to know who the people are in those photos. So don't let the process get stalled. You can do it. You can do it. You created all those photos. You can get some organization in place. So I generally will start this talk with actually a video of a talk that I did. So this is a talk of a talk. It's 5 minutes, but it really sums up why I do what I do. And I did this video, it was 2010s sometime. So it's been a while, but it is still just as relevant today. My sound's gonna be.
Hello everyone, here's to hoping this isn't the longest 5 minutes of my life or yours. My challenge to you today is to go home and find your most important photos and discover what the stories are behind them. Some of those photos are going to trigger individual memories, like my memory of our hunting camp where there was more snoring than hunting. Salamanders under stumps and whippoorwills singing, if you know what that is. Some photos are actually going to tell a story. This is the story of my Aunt Barbara and my dad, and they were running away from home. And my grandmother was nice enough to pack their lunch in their lunch bag. And because of this physical picture, this story's lived on for 80 plus years. Some photos are actually going to serve as a reminder of how you're loved. My children are not old enough to remember these individual memories, but they will know by seeing these pictures that they were loved by their family. Some photos are going to give you a glimpse into someone else's world. This was my dad's world. He was a carpenter, and he did what he loved, and he loved what he did for a lifetime, and that's a legacy that we could all learn something from. And although this building is now empty, it's filled with many memories. Memories of me helping my dad. I can still go into this building today and smell the wood chips and bring back many fond memories. And it also is the place where the ghosts of my great uncle and my dad both worked. This is my great uncle. And when I found this photo in a drawer as we were getting ready for the auction, I had a little regret that I didn't have any pictures of my father doing what he loved to do. So I encourage you to go home and take photos of people doing what they love to do. As you're looking through some of your photos and sifting through mounds, you're going to find gold. And the gold here is not them digging for gold, but the gold is my dad at the very top that you can see. This was one of the last pictures that I had of him. My mom would take that picture. This is my grandmother who turned 100 on December 12th, 2012. So think about that for a moment. And those are my kids. And I took pictures with me, like these, and questioned her and asked her some stories. And my children were present for that, which was an important part of the process, because I think that it's interesting to have them know what their family stories are as well. Some stories are going to go undiscovered. You're not going to know what is behind the photo. This was a road that my grandparents told us never to play on or near. Yet here they are, on the road, having their pictures taken. This was Stone Hill, if that means anything. So I inspire you to involve the younger generation in those family story discoveries. It's going to be really important for them at some point. This was her at 101. Looking at my kids thinking, who are they? This woman is my chance to get it right. This is my mom. She's been diagnosed with dementia, and we have quite a journey in front of us, I'm sure. And it's going to be important for me to really document those stories and get pictures of her and know what her life was like. Pictures like these are going to trigger discovery sessions with her. And I can learn more about the experiences and the relationships that she had with family members. It's also going to become important for me to start making sure that I'm documenting the new memories. This is her 80th birthday, and it was one of the nicest days we've ever had. And on occasion, I am going to have to embrace the selfie, which I am not a big fan of. But it's going to be important for both of us to have pictures like this that I can use with her and for me. There may come a day that she won't know who I am. And I also have to recognize that it doesn't have to be a technically good picture to be a good picture. In all its blur, you know they're having a great time, and there is a lot of love right there. And remember that the photos are not about the physical piece of paper, but it's about the people in them, and the relationships, and the love that goes on between them. And I also have to know to hand the camera to someone else, and you should all do the same. I know how I felt as I was digging through my own photos, looking for photos of my dad and my mom, and I knew how important it was. When I found those photos, it's going to be important for my kids as well to find photos of me someday. So I encourage you to go home and find your important photos and discover the stories behind them. Go home and take pictures with your family, and go home and just be present with your family.
Okay, that's it. Any questions? Just kidding.
No questions.
So a lot has changed since that video. I lost my mom this past June. So when I see that, it really brings back how true all of that still is, right? It's just so important to make those connections, and photos have a powerful way of doing that, right? They force you to think about and remember and have conversations with people, especially family members. So today we're going to talk about kind of the eight C's. It was my clever way of putting this together, but we're going to, things to consider as you are working on your photo organizing project. Who you might want to collaborate with. Collecting everything, compartmentalizing all of your collection, and really getting a big picture overview of what you've got. Curating or sorting, capturing, which is the digitizing piece of it, and then containing, rehousing them in archival supplies. I have a little box over there just to kind of give you an idea what that looks like. And then finally the connection part. And honestly, the connecting part happens all the way through the process. Like, that doesn't have to wait till the end, right? So first up is just considerations. These are the things to think about as you're starting this project. Who are you doing this for? And it's okay to do it for you. But you're probably going to have a greater audience. By the time it's all said and done, there's going to be other people. Think about what you want it to look like in the end. Do you want the physical collection to look smaller? Do you want it contained in pretty boxes that you can put on shelves in your home? Or do you want it just something that you can store somewhere safely? Are you gonna have your photos scanned? Are you gonna do the scanning? Are you gonna hire out to do the scanning? Am I gonna scan my negatives or my prints or both or some combination? Is there gonna be somebody else or other people that are gonna want access to these digital photos once it's done? And do you have a deadline? That can sometimes be because of a wedding or a funeral or some other life event that happens is often what triggers the need to get in there and find those photos. And sometimes that's not the best time to start this process because then you have a lot of pressure to do it. So then collaboration, thinking about when do you want to consider bringing somebody else in to help, whether it's a professional or it's a friend or it's a family member or a son or a daughter, thinking about who can help you along the way. And you know who those people are. You know in your gut who's going to help and who's going to hinder, right? Like we all have people in our lives that can stop us in our tracks. But we also know that we are surrounded by people that can help us get it done. When you're collaborating or you're looking to outsource and hire, you think about things that you're only going to do one time. So, or things that maybe you don't want to learn how to do. So the technology piece of it is often a place where people outsource to get that done. If the volume is just so overwhelming and so large that you just don't know where to start, and maybe you just need somebody to help get you started and then you take it and move forward. If you have a deadline and you have a large collection, that might also be a time to engage in some help. And then working with a friend. Find a friend or another family member that has their own photo collection because everybody does, right? So find another friend and work on it together because it helps bring some accountability in there. You can make a little friendly competition out of it, bring a bottle of wine.
2 bottles of wine.
Or 2, sometimes it takes 2. So kind of the first step is just collecting everything from all of the various places where you've maybe stored some photos or your videos. And we'll get to a slide here in the future of what all I would consider being part of your legacy collection. But gathering it all in one place is a huge first step. It can feel overwhelming, right? And you're gonna feel the need to get in those boxes and start sorting right away. Just don't do it. Right? Start by just getting it all in one place so you can see what you've got. Because there might be pieces in there that you're going to handle yourself. There might be pieces that I'm going to give these to my kids and let them deal with it. There might be pieces that you're going to hire out for, right? So getting it all, that's all one family collection. And this was a daughter who had cleared out mom's house. So in there were documents, slides, a lot of slides, printed photos, videos, 8mm reels of film. So lots of stuff in that collection. So in this collection stage, you're collecting all of your stuff. You're collecting your tools. You're kind of putting your space together where you're going to work. You're going to collect from the closets, the drawers, the refrigerators. You probably have framed pictures sitting around as well. And those might actually be some of your most important pictures because otherwise they're probably, if they're in frames, they were probably important to you in some way, right? So collecting those up and getting those digitized and preserved is pretty important. The basement, the attic, which are not great places to store your photos, so if you do have them, that is a good first step that you can take is get them out of the basement and the attic, or your garage. Or storage units that are not humidity controlled and temperature controlled. Albums. Albums are a big one if you are looking to downsize. Albums take up a lot of space. That's kind of I call it the low-hanging fruit of downsizing your photo collection can sometimes be albums. If you find things together and they're currently together, keep them together. So if you have envelopes that have photos and they have negatives in them, keep them together. because there's often, that was one roll of film and there's gonna be context to that. It's gonna help you in identifying maybe some dates or events. So keep those negatives in there, don't throw your negatives out. Your negatives are actually your original and they are going to recreate a better copy digitally than the prints in most cases, if they've been stored well. And the last bullet here is pretty important. This stage looks ugly. It looks ugly. Just accept it, know it's gonna happen, but don't let it stop you in your tracks. You know what they say, it always looks worse before it looks better. So, okay. So what's in your collection? You printed photos, albums, negatives, slides, videos, newspaper articles, scrapbooks, VHS tapes, your kids' artwork. You still have some of that around? Hand that off to the kids. Let them deal with it. There might be documents in there, certificates, college graduation certificates, all of those kind of things, any awards. People have brought us trophies already and we'll photograph those. So it really can be, there really can be a lot of things that are included in your kind of life legacy photo project. Here are some tools that we recommend. Having some gloves is good. Whether you like the nitrile gloves or, those are polyester gloves. There's also cotton gloves you can purchase. Having some index cards. I like the 4x6 because they're nice and big and you can turn them so that they stick out above the stack of photos so you can write your information on that index card, stack your photos behind it, start your next index card. And those index cards, these are not archival quality, right? But they're just temporary. So same with the sticky notes. And I would say, don't put the sticky note on the front of the photo. If you really want to have something written on the photo, put the sticky note on the back just as a temporary measure, maybe until things are scanned. I also recommend a photo-safe pencil. So that is a pencil that you can use on the back of your photos and write right on the back of the photo, and it's not gonna hurt or damage the paper. Archival boxes, and what I would say is don't purchase any final archival box materials until you're done, because it's not until you're done that you really have a better understanding of what you're going to need. And how many shoe boxes, how many archival shoe boxes will I need for my collection? So just having some temporary shoe boxes is a good place to start. Same with the plastic bins. We don't recommend that you store your photos in plastic bins permanently. While it feels like it would be safer, it's not. If moisture happens to get trapped in that bin, then that's where you start to have mold and things it's gonna contribute to the mold factor. Masks, something that we've become more familiar with here in the last decade. If you open up a box and it smells really bad, or it's been in a moisture-rich environment, and you feel like if it smells, I would advise wearing a mask because those mold spores can do that. And have a garbage bin or bag. You're going to throw things out. Please throw things out. Your children will thank you. Or the next person that comes along and has to clear things out after you is going to thank you.
Remember, everyone needs to put things in bags.
All right, and a tool that we didn't mention is, your family. Ask your family for help, because it can feel overwhelming and kind of lonely going through this process by yourself. So letting your family know what's up and what you're working on could be fun. Also, know who you're asking. You know who you're asking, and if it's going to be somebody that's going to stop you in your tracks, or they're going to ask you a question on every single photo that you pull out, maybe not the best option. Bring somebody along that is going to keep you moving along in the process. Because reminiscing every single photo that you're going to be touching through this process is also what gets people stuck and stopped. So you kind of need somebody that's going to help you keep that process moving and keep you accountable. preparing your workspace. Get the cat off the table. Grab a box. I suggest trying to find a dedicated space to work on this. If you know that you're, okay, this is it, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get it done this time, find a dedicated space where you can either leave things out or that it's pretty easy to put lids on the bins temporarily to open up the dining room table if you're having Thanksgiving at your house. But I recommend a dining room table that you can leave the stuff out. Or a spare bedroom where you have a bed as a large flat surface where you can be tossing photos down and kind of doing your groupings. I would also suggest a room with the door if you've got pets. So, room with the door with pets is a good thing. Last thing you need is you have all your photos sorted and the cat jumps up on the bed. So, and gather up your plastic bins, just for the temporary storage, have your garbage pail or garbage bag ready. Unfortunately, a lot of the things we can't recycle. Photographs, we can't really recycle those. The paper, the envelopes, the lab envelopes, those are recyclable, but unfortunately, 99% of the photos that are printed at a professional lab are not recyclable. So, and negatives are not recyclable, I don't believe. So the next step is compartmentalizing everything and getting your like with like. So if you have photo albums, get all of those in some bins, right? Because you're gonna start to attack things in groups. So get all your photo albums in bins. If you've got photos that have negatives, get those into some bins. Keep those negatives though matched up with the prints. If you have just loose photos scattered around, just put them in a box. Don't worry about sorting them because they're already loose and scattered. You don't have to attack that just yet, but just get those loose photos together. Because again, it's going to give you the high level view of where can I start, where can I build momentum, and momentum is usually with the albums. Separating out your video materials away from the photos is good because that's going to be handled in a different way. Removing your garbage, the receipts. There's always lots of extra stuff in there. Although on the receipts, keep an eye on those because sometimes they have dates on them that will help you date that envelope of photos, right? Always be looking. You're like a private investigator of your own family collection. So it's actually can be kind of fun piecing it together. And it's progress, not perfection. You've probably all heard that before. You might not know the exact date, and that's okay. If you only know that it's 1978 and it was the summer, that's okay. If you're not even sure if it was 1978, just write 1970s on it, or 1978 circa. It's okay. It's okay to not know the exact date. But the ultimate goal, and what we do for our clients, is we get it into chronological order. So then when we scan them, we're going to be assigning dates and things to those photos, so everything magically shows up in a dated chronological order digitally. All right, so once you've consolidated everything, you've decided on what group you're going to work on first. You're going to do some curation. And what I recommend for everybody is set up your own family curation rules. Because if you're going to look at each photo and decide, do I like this photo, do I not? Do I like this person or do I not? Am I going to keep it or not? It's much easier if you have some rules established that I'm not going to keep any photos of landscapes unless it's the front of my house. I'm only going to keep photos with people in them. And there's no right or wrong in this. It's really where your sentimentality is around your photos and what is meaningful to you. But we have a planner that we send to all of our clients and we have them fill it out, so it kind of gives us a gauge of how sentimental they are around their photos. And we ask them things like, do you want only pictures with people in them? Yes. Do you want pictures with pets in them? Yes or no? Do you want all of the pictures of the pets? Like, if there's 10 photos and they're all just about the same, would you like us to keep the best one? Yes. Or would you like us to keep half of them? Like, we will establish those rules with our clients, and that's something that you can do too, and it makes that decision-making process when you're in the thick of it go much faster because you can look at a photo, say landscape, landscape, the pet dog, right? So having those established at the front end will help things go a little bit faster. The school photos, that's also good low-hanging fruit. Keep one copy. Just keep one. We all have them, just keep one. And I say keep the 5x7 if you've got it, or like the 4x6. You don't need to keep the big giant 8x10. And it's very strategic on my part. 5x7 can fit in a nice shoebox, right? And I don't have to find a home, another home for the bigger piece. And it gets you just as good of a digital copy. Any information, dates, identifying information, that's what you're going to write on that index card. And that allows you to start getting rid of some of the paper. The paper envelopes that those photos came in are not archival. So eventually, once it's all said and done, once things are digitized and things are rehoused in archival boxes, you're going to want to use index cards that are archival and boxes that are archival. So that paper is going to go away. But you can also keep things in the envelopes and just write the information on there if you want, but know that that should probably just be a temporary house for them. Yeah, same thing, poor quality, dark photos, photos that are blown out and just have so much light that you can't really see any of the details. Those are also good ones that you can let go. Removing the near duplicates. So there's duplicates and then there's near duplicates. And I'm sure everybody remembers the day of when you would take your film to be developed and it was buy one, get one, set free, because I'm gonna give those to grandma. And we never did. Or we gave her one and then eventually she gave that back to you. All right, so then the next step, once you've got everything curated and organized the way that you want it, the next step is digitizing. And I definitely recommend getting that curating and organizing step done first. Doing that first allows you to see the whole collection, and then you can further refine if you want to continue to reduce the number before you go to the scanning step. Scanning as you go just is kind of haphazard, and then you end up scanning things that maybe you didn't really want to keep anyways in the long run. So we're going to digitize the keepers. You have to decide whether you want to do it yourself or you want to outsource that. Consider your variety of materials and different sizes, and is some of it paper and are some of them fragile, and all of those things will dictate how the things are going to be scanned and who you might want doing that. And then assess your available time and your level of comfort with technology. There are definitely some consumer devices out there that you can use to scan, but you gotta know what you're doing, because otherwise, if you're capturing it and you're not getting an optimal image, then eventually you're gonna have to redo it again. I've had clients in the past where I'm working on organizing their digital photos, and I get to photos that they had scanned at some point in their life. And I had one woman where I was organizing her digital photos, and they were all heritage kind of photos that I had gotten to, and they were really terrible scans. And so I called her up and I said, hey, any chance you still have, these photos that, around? And she's like, oh no, I threw those out. So she got terrible scans and she threw out the originals. So now she's stuck with little tiny kilobyte sized photos that she could reprint, but they're not going to look good. And this is what it can look like once it's done. So these are all archival boxes. Everything fits on a little thumb drive. So everything in there, these boxes alone hold about 2,400 photos. So that's 4,800 photos just there. Those are probably another 1,000 in each of those, and they were all contained on one thumb drive. So, and in that collection, I don't know who that was, but it would have come in many, many bins and boxes.
Excuse me. Yours 1,000 on the.
These shoe boxes, or like this one, this shoe box holds about 1,200 photos. somewhere
Are
between
you
1,000.
talking about paper or digital?
Paper.
Paper?
Yep, paper photos in there. And this is the same. So these are all archival index cards with labels on them that match the digital collection. So once these were sorted, we then scan them, and then once they're scanned, they go on a thumb drive that, that size.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And, keeping your originals is a good idea. It is a form of backup. So if this gets lost, then, and you haven't shared this with anyone, then all of that work was for naught. Right? So it is important to have things backed up and kind of diversified within your family. Get those out to people. And then that final stage is connecting and taking a look at what you've created. And there's so many things that you can do once those photos are digital. You can create new albums with them that are pulled, photos that are pulled from many different eras of your life. You could do family history, a family website kind of thing, which then allows you to be able to share those photos with your family members. Books are a great way. I mean, albums are great because it doesn't require technology to look at them. The modern album is great because you can make multiple copies easily. They hold a lot of photos and they don't take up as much physical space. And this is a list just of some resources. Archival Methods is one of my favorite places to get our archival boxes. That's where we get our products from. This Image Permanence, Library of Congress, American Institute, and Maryland State Archives are good. They have lots of good blogs and other kinds of posts on how to take care of photos. If you have photos that have water damage, those kind of things, they have some really great resources on all of that kind of information. Amazon, I would lean against probably purchasing my archival supplies there, just because I'm paranoid that it's not really archival. So your photo-safe pencils, I think, are safe. Your gloves would be safe, but anything that you're going to permanently store your photos in, I probably would not purchase through Amazon. I would do that through somebody like Archival Methods.
What do you mean it's not? They would damage the pictures, or?
Non-archival, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so non-archival storage containers could introduce things to the photos that will continue to keep them from, you don't want them to continue to deteriorate.
Okay.
So archival boxes, it's very special paper, it's, special, they have the metal corners. These metal corners give it extra support. Sorry. The metal corners give the photos, give the boxes support so you can stack them. And we just know that they're made with quality materials when you get it from a company that actually does archival boxes. Right. And that is the end. So what do you got for me?